Welcome back to Worlds 2020 as Ender and I are about to take you into draft for Giants of European and North American League of Legends. It is TSM taking on Fnatic. And before we get into the draft, the analyst desk was talking about the fact that these teams, we've not seen them for a month, and we don't know how they've adapted and how they've changed. But the one thing we do know is from what we saw throughout summer, for Fnatic, for Selfmade, for the way they drafted for him, this meta's looking like it could be positive.
Yeah, no, Fnatic basically spent every other week changing their draft strategy entirely, and they tried to lock onto the carry junglers early on with like the Soraka in the bot lane to support, and that didn't necessarily work perfectly for them, but I do think once playoffs hit, they just yoinked a draft over from the LPL. They're like, we want the Lucian, we want the Ashe, and we want the Evelynn. And the Evelynn was the big one, and we're seeing a lot of these same styles of champions, and that's why I think Selfmade's going to be very comfortable.
One of the things that I really like about that is from week to week, they had these streaks of performance and draft. Fnatic at Worlds from week to week. There's something there. Now,
yeah, people call them an inconsistent team. I think they're a streaky team.
I like that word. I really like that word. Just turn our attention to TSM as we do have a moment or two before draft. And one of the things I find very interesting, and I want you to validate for me or tell me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
We saw Team Liquid in play-ins, and they performed exceptional. They played very, very well. When we saw TSM in the North American playoffs, other than their first series where they went 0-3, every other series was 5 games. So I'm going to presume, by transitive properties, that the 3 North American teams fairly competitive, right? Seeing how TSM were able to battle. This is a game where now I get to test that theory and see how good does TSM North America's #1 seed stack up.
Exactly, because I think when you see the top end be very close over in the LCS, and then Team Liquid came out and really performed well, like very clean gameplay. I'm excited to see what TSM can bring us today. I was going to see maybe we get the Jungle Shen or the River Shen. They're actually going to ban it away themselves here, which is a little fun.
Yeah, definitely the case, and denying that option to their opponents today. Fnatic, the 2nd seed coming out of Europe in the LEC. Gangplank and Shen both targeted towards Bwipo. We know Bwipo as a Gangplank player. Definitely his most played champion professionally.
Do I hear the horn?
Ever.
Do I hear the horn?
Horn for Broken Blade. It has been the first ban on blue side for both of our previous games. But we also look to the jungle pool, a number of champions open and available. So Selfmade and Spica have got the pick of the litter, really.
Yeah, the hard thing is with Lucian open, I don't know if TSM can not take that here, and you give the Lucian plus, of course, Evelynn combination over to Fnatic. They are going to go for the Nidalee themselves, and I think that this is important for Spica to prove himself on here, because if you just watch the finals, you're like, is Spica a tank one trick? Like, all he was playing was the Set and the Shen, but Nidalee was actually one of his most played champions during the regular split. He plays a lot of this, and the LCS played a lot of these carry picks.
I really like that River Shen. We talked a lot about it and how it really worked in terms of the matchup. But that surprise card of River Shen is no longer a surprise. The world has seen it. We're aware of it. Huge shout out to Bwipo beard, by the way. That is badass, and I have a little bit of masculine jealousy as I can't grow a beard. The Lucian is locked in. We would anticipate the Evelynn at this stage is something we've seen a lot. Ooh. But obviously, as the jungle pool's not contested, you can lock in the support you really prefer.
Yeah, interesting to see them jump that direction already. This is making me think maybe Fnatic have something else up their sleeve, because I would have assumed with Ornn making it through and already so many bans focused at top lane that Bwipo would want to pick that up either as the 2nd pick or the 3rd pick here. And, of course, Camille is another one of those strong top laners that can answer into it. But Fnatic already, if you have an Evelynn plus a Rakan, we already talked about the Rakan plus Twitch combo where you can get that stealthy extra dash forward with your E there. Does work off of the Evelynn. And I think every European fan would want to see a Selfmade Evelynn come through because he looked so good on that champion.
Yeah, he really, really did. And when I looked at the regular season on that Camille pick, Broken Blade did not play it during the regular season at all. Bjergsen has locked in the Syndra. Classic. Comfort. I mean, most played again, and there is the Evelynn a little later down the line.
Yeah, I mean, the Syndra is an important pick here for Bjergsen, because we actually saw it in the same exact matchup last game, which was the Syndra into the Lucian mid lane. Well, I don't think it's a winning lane early on into the game. Her range, she can clear through waves pretty easily. You should not be falling behind in that match. We talked about some of the things you can do with Teleport and Corrupting Potion, of course, as an answer into it, and against a lot of squishy targets on the opposite side. When you already see a Rakan, if he's dashing into you, your burst damage is going to be absolutely insane. So some of the pick options TSM have with the burst of a Nidalee plus a Syndra plus a Camille are looking strong off the board.
Explosive kills. Similarly,
that's the one.
If you are able to find any of that burst damage from Evo for Rakan, well, you're not instantly blown up. A lot of squishy members. So what will a front line be? I mentioned that Broken Blade didn't play Camille during the regular season, but they played almost as many games in the playoffs because of all those 5-game series. I think actually even a little bit more. 3 games on the Camille undefeated, and straight out the gate, Leona is banned, followed by the Twitch.
Yeah, maybe a Nautilus ban here from Fnatic as well as another champion that would pair very nicely with a lot of the options that TSM do have already, and does tend to give Rakan a little bit of trouble down in that bottom lane. You know, the more I'm looking at some of the options TSM have, like the Camille in the top lane especially, if you remember in LEC, this was Hylissang's biggest nemesis when he was playing these squishier support champions, and that champ with the ultimate can also lock down an Evelynn very easily. So I'm actually looking at Broken Blade a bit too on that pick to have an influence in this game.
Now instead of the Nautilus, it will be a Lulu ban away from the side of Fnatic, targeting TSM, targeting Biofrost. We need to see what Doublelift is going to run, and there's so many matchups that you can talk about here. Rekkles versus Doublelift is going to be high.
I mean, I know the last time we saw TSM at Worlds was 2017, but to ban Ardent supports is a little bit crazy here, I think, from Fnatic. Of course, Lulu can have a good matchup into the Rakan, just instantly polymorph him when he jumps in there. The Ornn ban does come through, which will mean, I mean, I'm wondering what Bwipo does end up going for in the top side of the map, because one thing Fnatic like to do with the Evelynn is get a lot of winning lanes, but it can be hard to get a hard winning lane up against that Camille. But the LPL special, of course, the Volibear top gets long.
So the first thing I am noticing, this is game 6 of day 1 of groups after play-ins is concluded. I think the Camille Volibear matchup is something we've seen a number of times today. I think the priority on those picks significantly higher than what I recall from the aggregate, the overall picture of play-ins, but the rest of the picks and bans thus far has remained pretty much the same.
It was something we saw a lot in the regular season of the LPL and LCK, especially going towards playoffs, were these 2 matchups up there, but it is going to be the Doublelift Senna next to an Alistar. I think this is going to give TSM a very strong backline here next to the Syndra, so a lot of range they have to work with, and of course can turn on that hard engage, and that's something that's really important to have when you have a lot of ranged backliners. Having someone that can lead that Camille into a fight, help her get those flanks off, and assassinate the double marksman backline.
Yeah, it's going to work out in their favor. A number of squishy champions, if they do manage to get caught up by the CC, it will be problematic. Some long range there being locked in now for Rekkles. He's going to secure the Jhin to round out the team composition. So let's zoom out and look at what Fnatic and TSM have put together.
Yeah, okay, so the first thing is that I do feel like there's a little bit of pressure on Spica inside the jungle. One of the things that can be really problematic is you just allow an Evelynn to scale up very late into the game. So anything Spica can do to delay that fact is always going to be good, but in classic Fnatic form, when they have this Evelynn, they're trying to draft a lot of strong lanes that can play around and assist the Evelynn. That's where the Lucian is going to be really, really impactful. So if they want to try and break that mid lane matchup, maybe we see some Biofrost roams towards mid lane. TSM playing through mid to shut down Nemesis, who has been a problem point for Fnatic this year, and open up the map to shut down the Evelynn further.
Has absolutely been a problem point, and he's going up against TSM's strongest player, strongest member, most storied player in Bjergsen. Nemesis versus Bjergsen could be one of those pivotal matchups, but I think it is crucial to point out that when Selfmade does get a comfort pick, he does perform at a higher level. And for the first North America versus Europe matchup in the group stage, you obviously the coach is walking off stage, Mithy with very big smiles, but the players very focused, very serious. And in the pre-game video we saw, Doublelift was talking about how if we can't beat Fnatic, our odds of making it out the group are significantly lower. I believe that Gen.G are stronger than Fnatic. And after we just watched Gen.G and LGD, well, we may need to re-interview some of the players, right? Because that game was very, very combative.
Exactly, and that makes you think, is this like a group where all 4 teams have a legitimate shot to move on? Or are those 2 teams top-heavy? We'll have to see. This game will give us a very good read on how that does end up panning out here. Just doing the final checks, making sure all the players are ready to get into game. I think both teams got a lot of what they would like to have. Spica on the Nidalee, who can have an early game presence. The Syndra 2 for Bjergsen, classic pick for them. And then Selfmade, the big carry for Fnatic, being on that Evelynn that he worked so well in the LEC playoffs.
And this is where we get to see how does Selfmade perform in the international stage. How does he show up with a lot of fan support behind him coming out of Europe? But you cannot discount the impact that Spica has had for TSM and the North American LCS. TSM winning the summer split, 5-game series, every single one except for their first where they 0-3. It was a brutal run through the brackets. And this will be our first taste of NA versus EU in groups. So, Selfmade and Spica, where my eyes are going to be very, very early on. And I love that Senna skin riding into battle and early game shenanigans.
TSM trying to get this game off with a bit of a bang. Bjergsen actually going to force Nemesis to step back, and this allows TSM to path in through the brush. Selfmade will know what's going on as he does spot out Spica, but doesn't necessarily know the rest of the team is here. I think it's a safe bet for Fnatic, but I really like TSM invading the jungle from level 1 to try and disrupt Selfmade's level 1 plan.
Okay, where does he respond? Right now, the rest of Fnatic grouped up in a traditional death bush, as I believe they called dibs on that very early on in League of Legends, but they will not stick around too long. A number of TSM pings inside the red buff. Now, do Fnatic consider a counter invade?
Fnatic have no vision of TSM, so they might think that TSM are still up in the top side jungle. And what's going to end up happening is there is going to be a fight at level 1, almost certainly. The big difference here is Nemesis will be grouped up with the rest of the team, but now, if Bjergsen is able to read this one out and get down into the river or into the jungle quickly, we could see an all-out brawl.
Okay, multiple members, 4-man stack from Fnatic. 1 minute 20, now they're going to make the move forward. The sweeper is popped, so they know they haven't been envisioned.
Oh, TSM are going to spot it super late, though. They don't know what's happening until right now.
Fnatic, they backed away too early. That's a flash already from Doublelift.
Whoa!
A lot of damage coming out as Biofrost gets chunked down. He's down to 200 HP, 100 HP, 50 HP. Flash forward, first blood, Rekkles and Fnatic. They find it in the late invade.
Fnatic group up, they go in there, and Rekkles gets that first blood. Major loss here for TSM. All they did was put a ward on the enemy red buff, and they didn't have any protective vision of their own. So Spica will be able to smite away the large raptor right here, but it's still a very big win for Selfmade at level 1.
Exceptionally well done. Kill secured there by Rekkles as well. Let's look at summoner spells, flash and heals, as well as ignites used on every front except for Hylissang in that bottom lane. Nemesis is also flashless.
Yeah, this opens up some playmaking, but again, these junglers not the best at actually finding early plays. I think Nidalee would have a little bit more room to navigate that. Would like to point out the summoner spell choices. Biofrost went for Phase Rush, which is not uncommon. We've been seeing it a lot more on the Alistar, but meant he didn't have the Aftershock for the extra durability at level 1. And now Spica at level 2 should be stronger than Evelynn, but there's a red buff for Selfmade.
Yeah, he's going to do a lot with those hate spikes. Clears out the chickens as best as he can. Smites on cooldown. It looks like they're from Selfmade. As Spica will continue to auto-attack harass. Goes back into Cougar form. Trade of damage, and Spica will be able to pick up the big chicken before you see Bjergsen already moving to the jungle.
Yeah, so one key difference we actually see in this mid lane matchup is compared to last game, Nemesis has teleport instead of ignite, so less early kill threat in any sort of all-in, but also because he helped on the invade, Bjergsen got priority in that lane. That's why Bjergsen was able to push out the middle lane and top lane too, going well for Broken Blade. So all that pressure is able to convert into a good counterattack here from Spica, able to get inside the enemy jungle. So while TSM did lose first blood, and that's going to be bad news for the bottom side of the map, the jungle has stabilized for them.
And as this wave is pushing under Doublelift and Biofrost's tower, Hylissang goes on for a big trade. We do have just a very brief moment. I just want to quickly paint a highlight on Doublelift and Rekkles, two of the most storied names worldwide. Domestic titles, 8 for Doublelift, 4 for Rekkles. Number of Worlds appearances, 7 and 6. Number of international games, 73 to 79. These are the two faces of League of Legends for their respective regions, and frankly, if you take history into account, likely for the teams as well.
Yeah, almost certainly. Two players that, if you don't know their names, you're probably watching Worlds for the first time, and you better learn their names very, very quickly here. Selfmade just hugging around this middle lane, making sure that Nemesis can push out the wave. Hylissang is in the area as well. A classic Fnatic play to try and help Nemesis reset this lane state. You can already see a big difference in this mid lane, and that is Bjergsen absolutely doing well in this matchup. While Selfmade can steal away the Raptors, Bjergsen already up in CS and should be able to take a free reset pretty soon.
Just a reminder, of course, Nemesis helped on that invade. He spent his flash as well, and Ender, as you've already pointed out, no TP, allows Bjergsen some freedom in that matchup. Keep in mind, Spica also was challenging Selfmade as the engage comes out here from Hylissang. He's got himself some boots. Biofrost is flashless, and he may just get taken down for the second time. Stepping into the tower, the Ignite picks it up for Hylissang and Fnatic.
Yeah, Hylissang waited the last possible second to drop that one. The heal was able to keep Bio alive for a while, but that's the punishment for not having the flash available. Another hit in that bottom lane. Biofrost is really getting bullied now.
Now, while that's going on, Bjergsen of 13 with 4 minions in front of Nemesis. Look at the top lane, plus 10 right now as Broken Blade has a second time shoved the wave into tower, pushed all the way into Fnatic's jungle, dropped himself a control ward, and is now starting to back away. Broken Blade is playing the vision game. Every time he gets to tower, he pushes into Fnatic's jungle.
And that's always going to be really important up against this Evelynn. What I want to see from TSM is coming off of Bjergsen's reset. He should be hitting level 6 pretty soon. He'll hit that before Nemesis in the mid lane with the Lost Chapter completed. We talked about that. That's really good for this laning phase, especially when Lucian is struggling to find those big items early. So take this level 6, and then can we convert it into a side lane here, especially with Bwipo playing very aggressively. Broken Blade has his jungler in the area.
All right, there is a potential for Selfmade to help out, but Spica's coming in, got that blue buff available to him. And Bwipo down a little bit low. He does have flash. Making his way towards level 6, and Selfmade is still working on the Crux.
Oh, level 6!
Level 6! Sky Splitter is available. Stormbringer, does he bring the...
Oh!
Yes, he does! The flash chop down! Flash bear slap indeed from Bwipo, and Selfmade arrives just in time to dissuade a follow-up.
The most unlucky timing possible, and Bwipo is losing his mind. He's back at Worlds. He's filling himself after that one. That is a mental edge if I've ever seen it.
3 kills to 0, 1,000 gold up. And despite Spica and Broken Blade looking to combo down Bwipo, we were not able to time it before he hit level 6.
Yeah, it was a little bit ambitious. I was wondering if maybe Broken Blade would like to base first and then TP in, because with the minion wave there, it's very hard to set up for Spica to land a clean spear. And the level 6, there's the terror in TSM's eyes as they saw that come in. They knew that was going to be turned around on them almost instantly. The timing was just really tragic.
I mean, I got super nervous because I was literally setting it up. I'm like, I wonder how close he is to level 6, and then dinged it. It was like, yep, that's a problem. Let's look at the items really quickly, because I'm seeing a cull there for Broken Blade in the top lane, as well as Doublelift, and I lost that question.
Yeah, because he tries to bounce it off the wall, but as you said, level 6 pops on in, even gets the shield from the E there as well, and you get so much bonus HP when you pop that ulti, but they're going to try and punish him.
They absolutely will. The stun comes out as well. Hextech ultimatum. Bjergsen's now tanking the tower, and Broken Blade with Precision Protocol. They get the kill, they deny a huge wave, and that's fantastic.
What was I saying, Trevor? Bjergsen, level 6, they're able to come up into that top lane and punish the ultless Bwipo. He's like, yeah, okay, guys, yeah, I got punished 2v1. Can't do it twice in a row. But that's 2 turret plates on top of it, so immediately stabilizes the top 1v1.
And if anybody didn't quite follow the lip reading that was going on there from Ender, anytime a play involves Bwipo, please do look at the player cams. He's one of the most emotive players around. Spica, on the other hand, dead serious and focused. He's 42 farm, moving towards level 6, not the biggest of spikes on the Nidalee, as Selfmade has just unlocked the last caress. And the game is now dead even as far as gold is concerned.
Exactly. So level 6 from Selfmade, and Hylissang, I thought he was going to take a reset, but this is a classic Hylissang maneuver. Most supports you will see take the reset there and then pair up with their jungle, attack somewhere on the map. But what he wants to do is stay down in bot side and make sure TSM cannot fully reset this minion wave. So he'll sacrifice himself a bit, he'll sacrifice his impact on the map, so they can make sure this 2v2 and the lane state is completely optimal for Rekkles.
Right, a little bit of a ping there on the ward. Selfmade walked over, doesn't have the time to go for it because Nemesis, Selfmade, and Bwipo are setting themselves up for a dive. Spica and Bjergsen are aware, and they're starting the roam already.
TSM know exactly what's going on here, but they're not going to be able to react in time. So this entire wave, or at least a lot of it at the front, is going to be denied. Broken Blade now feels comfortable with his team showing up in the passive to be able to trade into that and pick up a lot of those minions.
That's actually huge. He managed to pick up a lot of the last hits, didn't lose the experience, maintains an advantage in the lane, and has got 54 stacks on that cull left. Tiamat already picked up while Spica started the Heralds.
Yeah, Spica's going to be able to find this one, and again, we see the rotation here from Bjergsen and from Biofrost to come on up. This is going to be the trade from TSM. So because Fnatic were trying to, I believe, freeze that bottom lane, you could see they had a big item advantage. It was only the cull on Doublelift because Rekkles was able to go back to base for free while Hylissang stuck around. Doublelift had to get out of the lane. Bio said, hey, it's okay, guys. We're going to drop some CS on the bot side so I can walk up top lane and make sure we get that Herald. And the offset of gold by dropping that Herald, likely in the top lane, continuing to funnel Broken Blade a bit, is going to be a big win for them.
And as you've already alluded to, Hylissang has a little bit of a problem with Camille, historically anyway. So if Broken Blade can be the beneficiary and start to accelerate ahead, it is one of the very big win conditions here for TSM. The Cloud Drake will be secured at 9.5 minutes. And just as a super aside, if we have a moment, throughout the course of today, the average first Dragon was taken at 7 minutes 58. So this is a little slower. In comparison to play-ins, that was at 8:57. That's a minute faster. The interesting one for me, the Dragon Soul average timer was 24 minutes, and in play-ins at 30.
TSM are trying to drop the Herald and then look for the dive, but Hylissang is immediately pathing topside, and Nemesis is also here to try and respond. But this tower is going to go down very, very low.
I will get the boop, take away at least 2 of those plates. Broken Blade, again, the recipient, he's going to be very, very happy with the plates being secured, and Bwipo's tower continues to be chipped away. Nemesis was making his way up top. If a dive had happened, he and Hylissang with those mobility boots is now starting to roam around with the impact.
So this is something you'll notice a lot with Fnatic is when Selfmade is on these farming-oriented junglers, it will be Hylissang roaming or Nemesis roaming trying to bail out lanes of bad positions, like when the Herald goes down there, it's Hylissang to help him out. Selfmade is not about wasting time in the jungle. As a matter of fact, you can already see a 20 CS advantage while Spica, was taking a Herald, trying some top lane plays. Selfmade was continuing to farm up here so that he can hit his item spike, so he can hit level 6 and then unlock his full terror on the map.
And conversely, Bjergsen's advantage from level 1 continues to balloon. It's nearly 20 CS as he's just picked up the wave under the tower. While there is a man immune completed here for Nemesis on that Lucian, Bjergsen has been able to maintain a lot of control in this lane. He teleported top at level 6. He's going to push the wave forward, and Nemesis will be a little bit late to the party, so he'll lose out on a few extra CS. Bjergsen will be able to pick up...
Oh, Bjergsen didn't actually get the plate money from that. He had to land one auto attack, so a bit unfortunate for him on that one, but as you were saying, doing very well in this matchup. Just a little bit off from completing that Ludens.
Full fight. Bwipo is really willing to exchange. Ninja Tab I picked up, plus the Sheen and the Ruby Crystal. Volibear trade pattern into Camille is very favorable early on.
Oh, Selfmade steps over a trap right there. Well, that's some counterplay to the invisibility from Selfmade, and that was right at a window where I think Selfmade was trying to team up. Hello!
Hello, flashy indeed. Dawning Shadow comes up. That keeps Broken Blade up. I think he would have got taken down had the ultimate landed. Flashes exchanged. Broken Blade holds onto his ultimate.
Yeah, Bwipo's creating so much pressure around the top side of the map. Spica is constantly having to jump up there, so good on Doublelift for not falling behind in CS, and Fnatic haven't been able to punish that. Even with the level 6, though, looking for the 2v2. There will be some damage, because now that Selfmade has passed 6, Evelynn is one of the best tower diving champions in the game. The problem is, it's really hard to punish an Alistar post 6 and a Senna 2 with her heals and all that underneath the tower.
We're 12 minutes into the game, 1 kill to 3, even on gold. Mr. Frierson, and the second dragon will be spawning in 2 minutes' time. It will leave us with either an ocean or a mountain soul, and that will definitely add some spiciness if we're competing over the Ocean Soul. And for the time being, this is still just in the extended laning phase. There's a number of plates going down, but no tower secured yet.
TSM setting up around mid. They're just trying to clear out all the vision. So all the work Fnatic just put in by grouping up around mid, because they were the first ones there, well, and they didn't stick around. TSM going to be able to knock that down. That'll mean Fnatic have to rebuy or replace those control words leading into the dragon. I think Selfmade might be a little bit frustrated, walking over the trap down there in the bot side jungle, because the play for Fnatic to make is him teaming up with Hylissang and either invading jungle to pick off Spica or try to attack around mid. But Bjergsen has been ungankable in mid lane, has not given any windows over in which Fnatic can actually punish him. When he knows he doesn't have pressure on mid lane, he's stepping back, and Fnatic just wander around through the river.
I absolutely love watching the minimap, but you see the pressure coming up from Fnatic. Bjergsen's already backing away.
Selfmade's top, though.
Look at Broken Blade. No flash available. Bwipo, no ultimate available. Selfmade's making his way in. It may just be a matter of time. Good hook shot, step forward, precision protocol, Hextech ultimatum on the last QS. Oh! Broken Blade with the outplay! He doesn't care if Selfmade's the baddest. He manages to win in the 1v2.
That was disgusting right there. Gets the full true damage proc, locks Selfmade in the ultimate. His ultimate isn't going to be able to escape from that one. And now TSM, what can they do on the bottom side of the map? Because, I don't actually think they know that Hylissang is down here inside the alcove. They don't know he's alcove gaming for the time being. For a second, it looked like they were just going to take over completely. Or do they? Or do they, Trevor?
No ways, no ways, no ways. Hylissang, the vision is out. He's tagged, he's caught, he's ganked, and he is dead. 3 kills secured for TSM. Broken Blade with an insane outplay, and then followed up by TSM being aware, sensing. I really hope we can get some comms on that one. They catch Hilly out.
And it's right before the Infernal Drake spawns as well. So Fnatic slow everything down. TSM are going to get this one for themselves in a matchup that was going poorly, because Broken Blade had been beaten in so many trades leading up into that 1 versus 2 against Bwipo. He just isolated this squishy Evelynn and turned that one around. So a lot of momentum now for TSM. We were talking about it a little bit before. Fnatic can be a bit of a streaky team. They can be a bit emotional. Definitely don't want to drop that down.
Oh, I hope we get a slow-mo on this. I'm not sure if we will, but Broken Blade, after he lands the hook shot, into Precision Protocol, melt Selfmade.
Yeah, well, you get so much burst damage down there, and then, whoop, the full Q. There's a whole lot of damage to the Sheen proc on top, so just very well done by him to be able to turn that around. Yeah, they all thought it was over, you know, and then the second he turns around, thinking, that's possible? Yeah, it is. TSM get a couple of kills.
And we all thought that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you and I.
That was my reaction too.
We were super mellow, thinking that Selfmade had an easy kill. But it's 2 kills, 2 deaths for Broken Blade. He's still got 10 or 11 CS to pick up before the cull pays off. Doublelift has finished his. And it's a small gold lead for TSM. We've crested the 15-minute mark, and after 4 very one-sided games, we now have the second of the day. That is very close and very competitive. The fact that Broken Blade is starting to get ahead and that he's already pulled off this combo makes me nervous for Fnatic. They've got a number of very squishy champions, and if Broken Blade can get that damage down, he can obliterate them.
Broken Blade's not safe yet because he's still losing the 1v1. He has the damage to take down an Evelynn, so when he groups up, that'll be a big deal, but Bwipo just taking chunks out of him here. He's also going to be itemizing pretty aggressively there with the Sheen in the 1v1 matchup. Broken Blade has now ticked up to level 11, but in the 1v1, you still have to favor Bwipo.
Yeah, for the time being. What point do you think that changes? 2 items, 3 items, where Camille can start to...
It depends on the route he goes, because right now you see Broken Blade is sort of all over the place. You know, he's going to cash in a Cole very soon, but the 1v1 really not good for him, so should be looking at the Trinity Force before that looks a little bit better, but the team is on the way.
First tower secured there.
Yeah, because right now the bot lane for TSM is running up, but I don't think Broken Blade can stall enough time and keep Bwipo locked down enough, but this tower should be falling soon, and then they can convert it into the Rift Herald on top, so there could be this big cascade effect where you take top lane tower for free, that turns into a Rift Herald, then mid lane turret as well, and you see Bjergsen was pathing bot, now he's pathing up here. We could have a fight on our hands.
Oh, Selfmade's looking for Spica.
Whoa!
Lost Caress, hates Spica with the help of Nemesis. Spica gets obliterated. Now there's pressure in the mid lane. So all of a sudden, TSM's potential plan of Rift Herald is thwarted.
Yeah, really good pick from Selfmade there, finding Spica inside the jungle. Nemesis also had to use his flash though. So now Selfmade and Nemesis both pretty vulnerable to any of the engage options that TSM are going to be throwing their way. And I think Selfmade just going to try and take a reset off of this one. Fnatic aren't going to try and pick up the Herald themselves.
I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but the producers and the observers just gave me a ping that Nemesis flashed over Bjergsen's stun.
Yes,
Thank you for catching that one, as they were telling me you were saying. Should have just trusted Ender production. So Fnatic maintain control once again. 700 gold, it's nearly insignificant at this amount, but even without Rift Herald, TSM are going to start pressuring this tower. No real response just yet from Fnatic. Hylissang is threatening and engage, but Rekkles doesn't really have a lot of support, and the second tower for TSM is easily secured.
Yeah, you know you don't need a Rift Herald to knock down the mid lane tower if the enemy team doesn't really have wave clear, and unless Nemesis is there with the culling, that one's not going to be very easy to defend. Now Selfmade, level 11, so much damage on his ultimate, and is looking for Broken Blade, but he lost this last time.
How much burst damage can Selfmade put out? The control ward is taken down. Nemesis, no flash, a little bit further away, so they look like they're going to be focusing the tower. TSM currently on the Herald, and it doesn't look like Fnatic want to contest.
Yeah, TSM don't really have anything better to do than to pick up this Herald right now. Like, all the topside camps are going to be down. Selfmade is going to be saying in comms, like, hey guys, it's fine. Like, I get so much gold off of 3 camps that are up and available in the bottom side of the map. So Selfmade will continue to sprint ahead, while Spica, with the focus on these early game objectives, is going to try and share the love a bit to his team.
Well, Biofrost and Spica will be under some threat if they stick around. Doublelift still all the way forward.
I've seen this before.
If we have indeed. Spica's aware of it. Drops down a ward, will get some vision for a brief second, and the minions will get cleared out. Important to note, 20 CS difference between Bwipo and Broken Blade, but they've both got their Trinity Forces. Tiamat and Bam Scepter picked up, and the rest of Fnatic start to peel away. You can feel the tension as both teams are kind of cross-mapping one another, playing safety in numbers, and they've traded towers.
But the thing is, 40 seconds before this Drake, Fnatic just did a huge sweeping pass inside the TSM jungle. So they have all these wards that Bwipo can look to either flank off of or just navigate inside the enemy jungle. If you just guarantee that Selfmade isn't walking over pinks, he can also do very similar things. So in the inventories of TSM, they don't really have any sweepers. You know, Biofrost can use his, but it's already on cooldown, and I think maybe Spica has one in the jungle, but that's a Rift Herald, so he can't actually use that. The control wards are what they have, but there are some clever wards that should not be spotted.
10 seconds to go until this Mountain Drake spawns. 20 minutes is on the clock, and TSM fully grouped in the bottom lane.
Yeah, TSM are just going to drop the Herald in the bot lane, so they're going to trade bot lane tower for mid lane. But Fnatic may be able to use this a little bit more because Bjergsen's the only player in mid. So he's under a little bit of threat. TSM are now going to be able to trade this for the bot side. But because Bjergsen is so far away from the rest of the team, it's really hard for them to be able to force on this dragon. Bjergsen's going to go back to base and try to teleport in.
Yeah, he's going to be able to TP, the ability to just, you know, swing around from TSM. Broken Blade will usher the Rift Herald in towards the inner turret. It will be able to get the charge off before Bwipo takes it out. Bjergsen also is able to hold on to his teleport, so TSM pick up an uncontested second Drake. They managed to get themselves the bottom tower and a lot of damage on the inner, but remember, they did lose their mid-outer turret, so we're still 3-3, and it is still dead even as far as the overall picture of the game is concerned.
Yeah, TSM had the trump card of just dropping the Herald in bot side that Fnatic had to respond to, right? So Fnatic can't do too much given that situation, but again, trying to transition vision on the opposite side of the map. So they lose down on bot side because of the Herald, of course, but will be able to steal away a blue buff and place some wards of their own. And it's critical as soon as these outer turrets start falling down. Now, every outer turret is off the board. The map belongs to Selfmade. Now, as long as he's not stepping around brush where there could be control wards to be able to spot him out, that makes the map a little bit more terrifying for TSM if they don't have a buddy around.
Yeah, definitely. Nemesis is going to be able to dash over the wall. And the question I'm going to ask, maybe it's a little bit unfair to like pigeonhole, but how do you like the two teams like scaling and how they're going to be able to play out these later game team fights? You've got the double ADs on the side of Fnatic and slightly more traditional on the side of TSM. So do you favor one comp?
I think the comps interact like very interestingly because I would say that TSM have a lot going for them when it comes to like their backline and activating a Camille later on in these flanks. And I would say Syndra starts to take over against a Lucian in terms of what she can add to the team. But the difference is Selfmade in the jungle. I'm always going to believe a little bit more in an Evelynn scaling later on into the game, whereas Nidalee will convert into a bit of a heal bot. Offering that, of course, she will do damage, but will not have that same threat onto an enemy backline as an Evelynn would. So to me, it comes down to whether or not Selfmade can actually threaten the backline of Bjergsen and Doublelift, and with a lot of the protection they have, the healing on both the Nidalee and the Senna, that could be problematic for him if he's not able to get a little bit more on items under his belt.
When I look at the side lane, for the time being, Bwipo has been able to maintain and control Broken Blade, but as we now 22 minutes into the game, Broken Blade making his way to his second item. Is there anyone that can really catch him? I mean, the Selfmade gank, I suppose. If he's able to roam up with invisibility in 2v1, Broken Blade, maybe that's going to be the cleanest way.
I mean, the thing is that TSM can't really ever activate a side lane, A, because Bwipo's doing very well in the 1v1 for the time being, but B, the threat of Selfmade. Now they know he's up here.
All right, Banshee's Veil there, no correction, that's the Allure, not going to be able to follow up. Bjergsen's still got the Hourglass if he needs to, and Hylissang, playing on the edge of safety. Managed to escape the scatter the weak.
He's all right as long as Broken Blade isn't in the area. As soon as the Hextech Ultimatum is in the picture, that's when things can get a bit problematic for Hylissang. The game has slowed down because Fnatic feels like they have map control, and TSM aren't really grouping up to contest them and try to battle through the Riven, or the river, rather, no Riven in this game. And they're not really trying to place too much deep vision or aggressive vision of their own. And Fnatic, because again, I feel like they're trying to play a little bit more skirmish heavy, play around the power of the Evelynn in smaller fights where she can't get just tons of CC unloaded onto her. They're not really looking to take many chances outside of just pushing out these side waves.
Yeah, these itemizations continue to scale in. I mean, Broken Blade has just been thrift dropped the entire time. Now, Pickaxe added to the Warhammer. I've already mentioned the Hourglass, the Loon's Echo on the side of Bjergsen, Essence Reaver, Manamune for Nemesis, and Rapid Fire Cannon was picked up by Rekkles along with that QSS. So the scaling continues to play out in terms of itemization. It's 1,000 gold advantage to Fnatic. And we may have a small sort of gentleman's agreement. A minute and a half till the Mountain Drake. It's going to be a little while before Baron is really hotly contested, I feel. And we may just see another setup around there. So around Vision, defensive wards from TSM.
Oh, good pick.
Set up. Curtain Call, 1 and 2 will tag Biofrost. The third will hit him too, and so does the fourth. That's
a really sick combo though, because of course you need damage on the enemy for Jin's W to actually apply the CC. Here we got a fight.
It's the engage. Biofrost trying to run for his life. Unbreakable Will is up, and inside the Hextech Ultimatum is Hylissang, countered by his Kryptonite Camille. Now Bwipo's in trouble, stunned up by Scout of the Week. The ultimate is fired. Whoa. He survives! Manages to escape with his life. The Age is doing so much work. It's 1,000 goal lead to Fnatic. And they managed to survive, but at the cost of Hylissang.
It is just that kill. Selfmade is looking for Spica. Oh, he can get so close to him here.
Dun, 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 dun. Rekkles unable to connect.
That's the combo I'm talking about, though, because you don't expect the Jhin W from super far range. It's not just a Rakan able to hop on to, you know, an Evelynn as that sort of surprise attack, but also using that in conjunction with the Jhin. So really clever combination. That being said, it still was the pick for TSM inside the jungle. Hylissang goes in, he gets a lot of CC down, but Fnatic can't really follow off. Nemesis and Rekkles, they get 0 auto attacks down, maybe onto a Raptor camp, but they can't do much more than that. Bwipo pops the ult just for the HP to sustain through, but now we have a dragon fight. 5 seconds away, no flash on Doublelift or Spica. Almost all flashes up for Fnatic, but no ults ready for them right off the bat.
So few. Biofrost is on cooldown. Broken Blades will become available by time the fight breaks out, but we're not setting up for an instant engage right now.
Check this out. Hylissang is on the flank. His ultimate is up in about 10 seconds, and he has a flash. He placed that ward that TSM spotted out so they know what he's trying to do. Bjergsen should be okay.
Oh, I held my breath for that one. Javelin toss helping out Broken Blade, but here comes Bwipo on all fours. Ultimate is now available for him. Selfmade, Rekkles, actually everybody. So fully armed for the power as far as that's concerned. Tower, Dragon's already secured by Fnatic. That was easy. TSM haven't found an opportunity to initiate, and that is one thing to call out. While Rakan is going to be able to fairly easily get the entrance into the quickness, you're looking at flanking options or a conditional stun by Scatter the Weak, so not the strongest engage tools from TSM.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of times you would say Broken Blade loves to find flanks on this Camille, but he also would love to lock down Hylissang or Selfmade if they dive the backline. Now, Fnatic have started up the Baron, and TSM are late to this play, but they're going to be able to get here in time, you think. It's down to 4,000, maybe not.
Shadows coming up. Fnatic can just finish this one up before the fight even begins. Biofrost is inside the pit, but Fnatic, they got the Dragon, they got the Baron, and now Hylissang is trying to fly away. He's easily able to...
Oh, not again!
But he's locked inside the Hextech Ultimatum. This time, he has support and damage from the team, but the sacrificial bird to pick up the Baron, Fnatic will be happy with that.
It's the ultimate heist there from Fnatic to steal the Baron away from TSM. TSM just late on the reply. They're able to arrest one in Hylissang and maybe get a turret on the backside, but that's a big win for Fnatic.
I mean, how do they even do that? Just pushing through the river.
Yeah.
If I look at the vision, there's a number of control wards, so TSM just late to arrive, late to contest, and they will get at least one tower back, but it's simply not enough to balance it out.
Fnatic have insane single target damage. They just cut through that one very, very easily. And good news for TSM is that they don't have any inner turrets down, so it's going to be hard for Fnatic to try and threaten an inhibitor, I do feel, but this, again, will give them almost full map control, and playing through side lanes with an Evelynn, you're certainly going to be able to knock down some of these inner turrets playing around that Volibear. The bear, that's the one.
The thing about the Baron buff for Fnatic right now, it gives them the lead, but this is the first significant advantage either team has had in 27 minutes. There's been trades back and forth, and it's been relatively even thus far, but with the ability to pull ahead, there's a great visualization as the scale goes from 100 to 3,000.
Yeah, but again, I think that's only about like a 1,200 spike.
Yeah.
If you look at it up in the top right corner of your screen here. I think the bigger change for Fnatic is the ease they can push through these side lanes now. And you can see Selfmade stepping up forward to make sure they can get this wave all the way into the tower. But even with Nemesis recalling in the top lane, he may want to teleport in towards mid or just straight back into top to knock down these inner towers.
It seems to be the case for now. And Evelynn, as well as Lucian, two crucial picks for Fnatic. It's something that they've demonstrated and played in the LEC, something that we expected to be pivotal.
Selfmade just flashed off the wall!
Out. That's it, he's dead. Goodbye, Doublelift. Fantastic from Selfmade, catching Doublelift out. I didn't even see it.
Selfmade, in the blink of an eye, eliminates the TSM AD carry, but Broken Blade is on the base. He's looking for the inhibitor, and is just now Bwipo able to recall back into this one. Fnatic, can they trade? Can they just kill him?
Bwipo's going to chase for this one. He's got himself the Death Dance and the Triforce and pushing all the way forward. The ulti will not find its target. And the tactical sweep from Broken Blade plus the hookshot gets him to safety. The base is open. Fnatic do not even open the base. through this plexiglass window, I couldn't even see Selfmade flashing over the wall, but that is exactly what you've talked about in terms of the pick and the impact
It's something I was watching for too, Trevor, because Selfmade's positioning, especially when they go for these sieges, all he's trying to do is pick people off in rotation. Because what Fnatic were doing was sort of rotating from mid to top, back to mid, and such. So he's hugging over this wall, the blue trinket spots out Doublelift, and is just an instant one-shot. Doublelift can't even react to his heal. He thinks he's safe. He's over this gigantic wall, but Selfmade knows the absolute limits of this champion. It's one he's played for a long time. This is not flavor of the month for Selfmade, and he deletes Doublelift.
So now TSM, while they were able to defend their base, they did expose the inhibitor in the bottom lane. They're down 2,500 gold. There's another Mountain Drake in a minute, and safety in numbers.
Yes.
Nobody is alone right now as they move through their own jungle because the threat of Selfmade cannot be underestimated.
So remember, Fnatic didn't get a big gold lead off of the Baron play. They got a couple thousand gold, and that's going to be good for them. But the big win is taking that mid lane tier 2 tower, because you now have another entrance into the enemy jungle for Selfmade to play with. Because turrets give you true vision, it's going to be able to spot out Selfmade wherever he goes. Knocking those down, the one outside of the base, allow him more avenues to find a flank and find a pick like he just had on Doublelift.
Vision is going to be so important. You can see 3 sweepers for the time being with TSM, but as Fnatic return to the Rift, 10 seconds to the next dragon, Infinity Edges, Rabadon's Death Caps secured for Fnatic. Important to point out that Bjergsen was able to pick up that Void Staff.
Wait a second, look at this, Fnatic are just pushing down mid lane, so 4 members of TSM are around this Drake for the time being, but this Drake is just going to go down unless Selfmade tries to go for a steal, but they're just going to try and go for the inhibitor themselves.
See it, open up the base, inhibitor will be challenged here. Spica left to finish off the dragon with the help of Bjergsen. And with a double ADs, Fnatic melt through the inhib, and this will assure them map control for the next Baron.
This is really interesting, because this is something Fnatic have very clearly been working on, is playing the map and knowing timers when the enemy team can't actually run around and get to you. Bjergsen did TP back to the base there.
Feeling the threat, feeling the pressure. TPing back, not available for the next siege, for the next pressure. Now, Fnatic are pushing into Fnatic play, so maybe it may not be as pivotal.
Yeah, but the reason why I think it's important is because this is not a look I've seen from Fnatic. You know, this was never a team that was going to like out-macro you or like out-mind game you and how they were going to play the map. And now that's a couple times where TSM are going to say, hey, we're on sole point here with the Drake, but they did end up losing their inhibitor and that tower there too, leading into this Baron buff. So we already saw how quickly Fnatic can cut through that one, and now they're not even going to be able to get pressure in a side lane. TSM won't be able to, because again, Bwipo could always have the support ready to go. But there are a lot of control wards around Broken Blade to try and keep him safe.
It's a very difficult situation to be in if you are TSM right now, because if you try to focus everything down on Selfmade, the Nemesis and Rekkles will just be able to run through you and wreck you. If you ignore Bwipo, he can get to the backline and do a lot of damage. There's a lot of threats to deal with on the TSM side.
Sorcery Elixir completed for Selfmade, level 17. He's the highest level in the game, tied with Bwipo. Just been trying to clear through these camps as quickly as possible. And how does the flank happen? It's a pincer from Hylissang on the side.
That's it, the quickness into the knockup. They managed to catch up.
Selfmade!
Selfmade's looking for Spica and Doublelift, but safety in numbers, remember. He doesn't find the kill, and TSM escape with their lives. Here comes Broken Blade. He's found himself healing, but he hasn't found the kill. Not going to be able to do it, and Broken Blade goes down by Rekkles' hand. TSM survived the initial engage, and they don't get the kill on the
And that should mean the Baron here for Fnatic. 4 players alive, but we're 45 seconds away from a potential teleport from TSM. It's a Fnatic Death Brush. Selfmade is going to try and come out here, push in the wave first, so that TSM cannot push through mid, and then they'll head back to the Baron.
Very, very smart play here from Fnatic. 4,000 gold up, but I have to give credit to Spica. He was able to hang back and help Doublelift out to survive.
TSM want into the river here, but this Baron's going down so fast.
There is the ultimate available here for Bjergsen. He needs to find a target. The Baron is
Spica!
in the pit. Not going to be able to do it. Fnatic pick up the Baron. Now Bwipo's under some damage as Spica will get blown up. Flash over the wall from Selfmade. Hate spike after hate spike. Hylissang pushing Doublelift backwards as Bjergsen will not be able to find a kill with the ultimate. Fnatic get the Baron, get themselves a kill, and get the hell out.
This is everything Fnatic need to try and press forward here. Teleport comes in from behind. They still want kills.
Here comes
Double teleport.
Manages to jump into the air and chomp
Nemesis
on TSM. Nemesis, with the help of Selfmade, chased TSM through the jungle, and Fnatic will chase down Broken Blade, the last standing member of TSM, inside the base. It was a hard-fought fight, but one that Fnatic earned through macro plays. Fnatic take down TSM.
And Selfmade leading the charge as well. The amount of times he's able to get into the back line and snipe people out, combined with, as you said, yes, the intelligent play, rushing down the Baron, playing for the mid lane inhibitor, while TSM were preoccupied on the Dragon. They came in with a good plan and executed on it well.
Very competitive, close game, but I think you could clearly see the decision-making that unlocked the advantage, the lead, and then eventually the win from Fnatic. Bwipo standing tall on that matchup. Like, he was under pressure, but he managed to gain multiple advantages against Broken Blade. And Ender, you called it. The Sneak Baron, the map play, it's a different look from the regional play.
Yeah, and it was really hard for TSM because they did do pretty well in the laning phase, right? Like the outplay from Broken Blade in top lane, Bjergsen had a big lead in terms of CS over against Nemesis. But when it came down to the fights, under the threat of the level 17 Evelynn jumping into your backline, whenever Broken Blade tried to go in, there couldn't necessarily be that follow-up when they're trying to play back, when they're trying to disengage from that Evelynn. So having that pick be able to split up the fights entirely really made it hard for them in the 5v5s.
Yeah, definitely the case. And I put myself in the Doublelift shoes, and I think to myself, where is the counterplay to that flash over the wall? It was disgusting.
Don't play AD carry. That's the counterplay.
It was disgusting, as was my use of definitely. It was such a crutch word today. I need to get rid of that. But I mean, fantastic performance. I do like the fact that we saw some of the trends, we saw the picks. I think I was a little surprised to see both Nemesis and Selfmade on Lucian and Eve.
Yes.
I had expected those to be targeted. I expected those to be removed. And the Nidalee first pick, if I recall correctly, really did not have the impact I think it needed to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Nidalee first pick does work into the Evelynn, but with like some of the shenanigans that went on, like they weren't able to convert it into more than that.
It's Selfmade's Evelynn.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing for me, is like champion v champion, agnostic of player, I'm on board. But then when you see the impact that Selfmade has had with this team that had the streaks,
yes.
you know, it was the Lucian and the Eve that was Fnatic's good streak, if you think back to summer. Put ourselves in the perspectives of TSM. I think we saw some very good plays. I think Broken Blade and Spica, plus the help of Bjergsen, you know, there was some options. They were able to get some map plays, but it was just one small step behind some crucial moments that allowed Fnatic to pull ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that if we look at this, because we will see this matchup again, I think probably we're going to see the Evelynn taken off the board, and then the entire dynamic of the game will change, because the amount of threat he was able to provide by being such high level in the game really did make it impossible for the backline. Like, Doublelift didn't get to play League of Legends. His support died at level 1 on the invade. Like, don't forget that. That went wrong. That was then punished another time, and then once he gets through the laning phase, then there's an Evelynn jumping on him, and that's just tragic to deal with.
I've got a slightly crazier thought now. If we zoom out, we've seen 3 groups playing today. This group was the most chaotic,
yes.
most entertaining, definitely the most competitive. Again, don't answer this question, but how do you think TSM Fnatic are going to do coming up against Gen G and LGD? Like, it is really, really interesting to see how that's worked out. We're not going to be able to discuss that because we need to talk about the Oppo player of the game. It was Selfmade on that Evelynn.
Oh, don't do him like this. Doublelift just wants a minion. Boom! Instant kill right there. And we'll see.
I actually feel dirty watching that. Do you know that? It was a fantastic play.
It's just Evelynn things, really,
yes.
Trevor. Like, it's hard. Like, even in this fight, he's not necessarily flanking, but he does the damage, flashes over the wall. Doublelift can't really do much when he's just constantly being dove on. Like, this was not an easy game to backline for TSM.
What I really appreciated, though, Ender, that you were talking about, and for anyone that's playing Eve at home, when you saw multiple lanes being pushed, Selfmade was just waiting for the rotate. You highlighted, you said you were watching for it, and he managed to, you know, throw a fishing hook and catch Doublelift, hook, line, and sinker. But until you see that play happening, maybe you're worrying about a few other things. You can't really be 100% ready for it.
Yeah, and I think TSM probably came in, they're like, we can beat this Evelynn thing. They realized, oh, maybe if you don't really take over the early game, it's going to be hard to deal with that a little bit later on. So to all teams out there watching, I've got a secret. Selfmade, Evelynn, it's very good. If you consider banning it, Fnatic will not look nearly so good.
And we've got a little bit of time, I think. No, we don't. We're stepping away. After the break, Shox and Dash take a closer look at today's action. Don't go anywhere. We will. You shouldn't. You should stay. Stay. Don't go anywhere. Stay.
You can go if you want.
They turn my mic off. It's back. Stay.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
Jake from State Farm. After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
Here's the deal, Parker. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Yeah, right. Pepperoni pockets, an atomic brownie, cuckoo crusty.
There's no promo, it's just great rates.
And a cider ranch. You're the man.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey Mercedes, legends run wild, each one unique, with astonishing power, unstoppable, master warriors, ready to compete. So die. Seeking glory. We live it, we breathe it, we have each other's back. Together, we become legends, icons of a new generation.
Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants?
Welcome back, everyone, to the State Farm Analyst Zone after Fnatic versus TSM, where I'm joined by Dash, who will kick off World's Cooldown in just a few minutes. This is cool, Dash. Hello.
Hello, from thousands of miles away. How you doing?
I mean, I'm good. We were not here to gloat, and also I'm sure people are saying, where are my analysts? Well, they'll be coming soon. They'll be joining you for World's Cooldown. But I did just want to get your thoughts on the day, and of course I have to start with the last game of the day. What did you think?
Naturally. Naturally. I mean, I'm doing well. Worlds has begun its groups, so my spirits are still high, even in light of the result of the most recent game, Fnatic taking down TSM. I'm sure I'd be a little happier if either FlyQuest or TSM came away with the victory today, but I'm proud of the fights that each of them put up. It was a tall order, FlyQuest against Top Esports, of course, the favorite of the tournament. And then for TSM, honestly, with, you know, the intelligent level 1 invade out of Fnatic setting them behind, I was actually pretty impressed at how that the NA squad stacked up, at least in the macro game, really kept themselves in it. So if anything, I think it's just an indicator of how that group is very undecided between Gen G, Fnatic, TSM, of course, and LGD. So that group really excites me based on the gameplay we saw today. What about you? What were your takeaways? Obviously, EU started pretty well with that victory here for Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, a victory for Fnatic, but as you say, I do believe that group is going to be pretty close. And as said, it was a hard one to play for TSM with the pressure coming out of that Evelynn, but they won't make that same mistake twice. And there were some very highlight performances out of Broken Blade, for instance. So, you know, it was the first day. There's always crazy things that happen, right? I mean, Rogue surprised me as well. They did very well, of course, against PSG. And you touched on FlyQuest, but Top just looked like, you know, with Damwon, the strongest team that we've seen today.
Yeah, oh, without a doubt. In reference to that Top Esports game, and we already knew 369 was an incredible top laner, but to pull off the solo kill at level 4 and then to completely run over the game. Another one of the plays within that game that I absolutely loved was when he stopped Solo's Lantern attempt with a Hextech ultimatum on a different target. Just a really intelligent use of that spell mechanically, and again, it just gives more evidence as to why Top Esports is such a favorite. I love that you call out the win there for Rogue, though, because I think that's huge for an organization that is a first-timer at Worlds. While it maybe was an expected win against the caliber of opponent in PSG, I think it's really important to start groups off on the right foot, inject some confidence, you know, into those young players so that hopefully they can continue to roll it forward. And I will also call out, while I gave credit to 369 for being an incredible top laner, you know, Finn is the opposite picture in terms of the style of top laner playing the Malphite, but just as integral to his team's success today, I think, on that pick with a couple of key engages. So I love to see that too.
I mean, it's all about also covering up certain weaknesses you may have. You know, as a team, you need to evolve. You need to make it happen. And Finn showed that, you know, maybe you have to ban out that Malphite indeed. I have to say, Dash, I know it's crazy time zones for you, and you're taking over in a sec for cooldown, but you're so dapper, you're so chipper, you've got your notes, you've watched everything. How are you holding up over there?
I'm doing well. Look, the last couple days were rough because I had no League of Legends to watch. That's when these overnights are difficult, when you don't have, you know, the content to be invested in. But I got to be honest, hopping in the Discord with all of the casters who aren't working, you know, on the broadcast that day and getting to watch alongside them, you know, cheer for the great plays and share in the sorrow when our teams don't necessarily measure up is always very exciting. You know, so hey, high-level League of Legends and a sunset. I have not a sunset. Oh my goodness. Well, that tells you where my brain's at. A sunrise, rather, right to my left here. You know, what could be better than an early Saturday morning with some high-level League?
Exactly. So with that, thank you so much for doing this, because I think it also then creates a great, you know, ending to the day, and we get to hear from a couple of more NA voices. So can you tell us what's in store for Worlds Cooldown? Who are your guests?
Absolutely. Today on the show, I'm going to have Raz, Azael, Mark Z, and then Lyric of the LPL will be joining us to break down a couple of those LPL-focused matchups. But really what this is you know, 45 to 60 minutes of just a little bit more unbuttoned takes on the day, not going super deep on the analytical front, getting a little bit more of, you know, maybe some of the emotional takes on each of the series. But we'll be hitting high-level beats and highlights from each of the 6 series of the day. We'll be previewing tomorrow's schedule, as well as talking about some top performers. Today in particular, we will be focusing in on that top lane, so talking a little bit about Finn, 369, and some of the others up there. But your one-stop shop for all things recap when it comes to the World Championship.
Fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and join the meeting with everyone to see what we want to do tomorrow on the desk. Now, I'm going to do just one more thing, and don't worry, this is not going to happen every time, but there's a little something we did in EU for PGL, which is just one thing that I wanted to do with you, is take a selfie, just because we can't be together in the same area with this situation, but then at least we have a little photo. Are you game?
I love it. Let's do it.
You just look straight ahead. Just look straight ahead. Love it. Okay, wonderful.
Tell me when it's taken, because I can't tell.
It's taken.
Okay.
Thank you for playing Baldash, and super excited to listen to Cooldown and see what you will be getting up to this Worlds. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No lag, no delay, no excuses. It lives in the tiny space between milliseconds and nanoseconds, between memes and legends, between tears and tears. And when margins that small make an impact this big, nothing less than the speed and dependability of the Cisco network will do.